Today I fucked up by accidentally eating and loving pork as a Muslim. So I thought that tonight I would treat myself to some Chinese and go to this nice restaurant right next to where I live. At this Chinese restaurant they make you write your order on a piece of paper, hit a button on your desk and then someone comes and collects it and starts to prep your meal. When you are ordering you have to write the number of the dish you want. This makes it simple for them to understand what you want, and apparently I can't even do that right. So I pick the goat. For context, the number for goat was 15 and the number for pork was 16. I had never seen goat before and was feeling very adventurous tonight. I have also never seen cooked pork either, so I was setting myself up for disaster. My 15 must have blended itself into a 16. As the waiter brings me my food I was on a call and really had to pay attention to what my friend was telling me, so I didn't focus on what the waiter said my dish was and just thanked him. As I am eating I am getting this euphoric sort of feeling. I had never expected goat, now knowing pork, to be so amazing. I loved every single mouthful and was contemplating coming back tomorrow to try it again. As I went up to pay I thanked the waiter for such an unforgettable meal, now in more ways than one, and that the goat was amazing. He pauses processing my payment and squints at me. He goes on and says that I had ordered pork. I look and say that he was wrong and the goat was delicious. I think back and realize how stupid I was and that there was no way that could have been goat. I kind of froze for a while and questioned my life and my faith while other people waited to pay. The worst part is I want to try that again so bad. Too long didn't read. Went to restaurant where you order by writing number down. Tried to order goat, 15. But instead order pork, 16. Really enjoyed every mouthful, and after thanking the waiter for such good goat he told me that I had just in fact had pork. Know this guy that was telling his wife that he loves this dim sum place in SF, when he used to live there, that makes beef dumplings or shumai. He's Jewish and his wife is Chinese. They finally visit it years later and they order his dish. Wife takes a bite and tells him, "This is pork." Waitress confirms it. For years he's been eating pork and loving it. Years ago I worked for a non-profit that had a non-staff rabbi. He had lived a non-kosher life when he was younger, and to this day still had mad bacon cravings. Hey, pork-eating Lutheran here, how does that work for you in your religion? Like, okay, you accidentally did. Now what? It's not a sin if you eat it accidentally, or not knowing it was pork. I mean, at least you know what pork tastes like now. I'm just appreciative how awesome Op is handling the situation. I've seen people just blame it on the waiter/waitress and not own up to their actions. He or she err on their side and didn't take it out on somebody else. My mom's friend married a guy whose mother was Jewish, and kept kosher. The in-laws came to visit, the friend went out for a little while to run errands, and came back. She looked in the fridge, horrified, and said, "Mom, did you eat what was in the green bowl?" "Yes," said her mother-in-law. "Mom," she said, "that was crab salad." Mother-in-law shrugged and said, "God forgive me, it was delicious." "I think that's your play here." ETA, yes, it was real crab, not imitation crab. And yes, she did address her mother-in-law as Mom. My Muslim colleague was telling me how much he loved pepperoni pizza. I was like, "You do know, don't you, that pepperoni is made from pork?" His eyes went wide and he told he always thought it was made from beef. Once he got over the shock he shrugged and said, "Well, what's done is done." We had a good laugh about it later. His sad eyes, he will never eat pepperoni ever again. Today I fucked up by creating the most terrifying and embarrassing moment in my life. It is currently 1 AM. This happened about 20 minutes ago. I am currently bawling my eyes out from humiliation and shock. I will write out this event as if you were me. I will not include details before I knew them. It all started when I, F23, got home late from work. We had a meeting after the park was closed and didn't get home until 10 PM. I take a shower and smoke my dab pen while drying my hair. I then proceeded to forget the next hour, so my hair was dry and I was playing Red Dead Online. I had just got comfy when I hear my cat Winnie make a strange meow. My cat only meows like this when she sees something outside. It's like a low yowl and not a cute meow. I pause the game and take my headphones off. She is meowing in the living room. She runs into the doorway to my bedroom and meows again. I follow her out into my living room, which is only lit by a night light. I see that my motion activated light is on outside. Winnie is looking through the blinds and meows again and again. The light goes off and then comes back on. I call my roommate M26. He is at work and gets off in an hour. I'm fried at this point and I'm thinking that I am overreacting. Winnie meows louder and longer, over and over. I'm freaking out and a shadow from my patio moves. A few seconds later, there is a knock on the door. I feel my heart in my ears. Heartbeats are really loud and everything is in slow motion. I'm staring at the door for what seems like about 30 seconds but was probably only 2 or 3. I dart to my room, lock my door, and then was in my closet with a large knife. I don't remember if I got the knife before or after the knocking. I'm on the phone to police. My breath is incredibly shaky and raspy. I'm having memories and images of my family and friends rushing through my head. Then I think of my parents and how I need to call them, but I'm on the phone with 911 telling them info and location. I am mentally preparing to kill someone or die. 911 dispatcher was silent. She said there were 2 officers close. Silence. I ask where they are. She tells me they are turning into my apartment. I wait the most painful 30 seconds of my life. It seriously felt like 10 minutes. I hear voices at my front door. I hear the dispatcher's voice. She asks, "Did you order delivery?" TLDR, I forgot I ordered delivery and called the cops on my delivery driver for delivering my food. PS, sorry for formatting. On phone. Edit, wow, this blew up overnight. Of course. Thanks for the gold, kind stranger and everyone else who awarded or commented on this post. I love reading all of your funny and related replies. Shit happens and we laugh and learn from it. Edit 2, since I keep getting asked, yes I still feel awful, yes I tipped the driver online and no, the cops and the driver did not see each other. The driver dropped my food at the door. So, did you get your delivery? Yes I did. I'm not very hungry at the moment. Remember kids, after you dab, it's not delivery, it's dash or no. You did it. You paused an online game. Haha, I just brought up the menu screen so the music would stop. How much did who tip the delivery person? He left the food and tipped. I didn't see him. If it makes you feel any better, I'm a 911 operator and I can tell you this happens all the time. I don't think a single night goes by without someone calling thinking someone is breaking in only to find out it was a neighbor or friend or, my favorite, a glass jar of chocolate milk exploding. Nobody suspects the chocolate milk glass jar. 90% of the time it works every time. Today I fucked up by taking pre-workout before a run and almost dying. My run, if you don't know, pre-workout is a highly caffeinated powder that looks like this. People often take it before workouts, like I always have, to give them the motivation they need. Anyways, I took 1.5 scoops as I normally do and went outside for a run on a particularly hot day. At the end of the run, I felt weak and my chest was clenching with pain. Upon arriving at the gas station to get a Gatorade, I realized something wasn't right. I stumbled inside and grabbed the shirt of an attendant to say please stay with me. I don't think I'm okay. My body was shaking, my vision narrowed, and the pain grew nearer. They gave me some water and talked with me to calm me down. Eventually, I felt well enough to go to my parents' house while my girlfriend was away just to be around someone. Going to the hospital, after half an hour at my parents', nothing was better and I realized I may actually be dying. My heart rate had not slowed down, my breath was shortening, and my chest felt like it was collapsing. I calmly looked at my mother and suggested, all right, I believe now is the time we go to the emergency room. We pull up to the ER and I stumbled inside the same way you would if you were drunk. I politely tell the receptionist I need to be seen in some short while, as I am having what must be a heart attack. She hands me a form to fill out, which I make it about a third of the way through. My mind isn't cooperating and I have no strength to write anything down. The portion where it asks for my name was chicken scratch, and I could not for the life of me remember my birthday. He motioned someone to come collect me from the back urgently, but I was too embarrassed to go with them without having properly filled out a simple form. No, let me fill out another one. They waited kindly with worried looks until I dropped the pen and said, well, we will just have to do this later. In the ER. When I get back to the ER, I am writhing in pain. Nothing is lowering my heart rate. Some punk comes in asking if I would like to pay all at once for a discounted price or on a monthly basis. I ask him if we can please consider these things later. About 2 hours pass and a few injections of something or another later, they tell me I'm fine, but I have a fairly rare heart condition called Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome, which had been excited by the stimulants and could have ended very poorly. I had taken pre-workout my entire life and had never known how close I always was to death. The doctor explained, until my surgery, every time I take stimulants like that I am flipping a coin on my life. So, while I am an unusual case, I encourage everyone to reconsider taking such supplements and to not be so concerned with properly filling out the welcome form when going to the ER. Too long didn't read, took pre-workout, went on a run, went to the ER, found out I have WPW and may have died of sudden cardiac arrest if I wasn't treated. I'm sorry you went through that, but glad you're able to get an ablation. I used to be a firefighter/paramedic. One of my shittier runs was on a 13-year-old who had collapsed at a gym during a basketball game. He was sitting on the bench when he collapsed, but had been in the game earlier. We worked this kid but could never get anything back. Transported him to one of the best children's hospitals in the nation, and they couldn't get him back either. The only thing we heard at the time was that a week before he had been diagnosed with a heart murmur. I asked a cardiologist who worked with our department if he could find out what the kid had died from. Turns out the kid had WPW. Never diagnosed, never had presented. I asked him what the odds were on something like that. He said he'd get back to me. Sure enough, a few weeks later he let me know that of the people who have WPW, who are 13 years old, and of those, whose first presentation is cardiac arrest, this kid had been very roughly 1 in a million. So you beat those odds, op. The good news is that ablations are very effective in taking care of WPW. I used to drink coffee daily, and thought the random AFib episodes were just normal. I, too, was then diagnosed with WPW, after a routine visit for heartburn issues. Did you have an ablation? Was told it's a fairly mild procedure I don't need to worry about, but I'll be seeing a specialist in a couple weeks. There's a guy at my gym who had a heart attack. Started the morning with coffee, then Red Bull, then pre-workout. When I was 16, I shotgunned 4 8.4 ounces Red Bulls in one day. Now at 26, think if I shotgun one I would die. The part that struck me was that they made you fill a form while having an attack. Like, what? BTDT, walked into the hospital, I think I'm having a heart attack. Had to wait while they admitted a young woman with a sprained ankle. Briefly considered slumping onto the floor as a way to get into the ER faster. Should have called an ambulance. Edit, if I'd gone in by ambulance my vitals would already have been taken, they'd have seen my 200/160 blood pressure. I'd have gone to the head of the line instead of cooling my heels waiting to fill out paperwork. I was active duty army for a while and we had people die every year on Fort Bragg because they'd take pre-workout before a unit run. And it's not like we didn't warn people exactly what would happen, we got safety briefs on it at least once a month, and when it happens it's always well publicized. Yet it keeps happening. Glad you survived. Hopefully you recover alright. Was active duty for 8 years doing low physical activity stuff with computers. There was a guy with me who, without fail, had a monster before PT, then would walk into the shop with a grocery bag with 6 more monsters. These were not the smaller cans, they were the big ones that had the cap. They would be gone by 4 PM every day and then he'd work out at the gym and use the C4 pre-workout. He's still alive, but how I don't know.